When talking about the will to power and its application in the cultural political realm of grand politics, I also mention frequently three other doctrines that emerge in Nietzsche's thought: the pathos of distance, the order of rank, and the commander. The latter is less often referred to, and yet is vitally important. The order of rank is heard most often, and it is self-illustrating. It refers to the rank ordering, which is closer to the German, or the hierarchy, to use a weaker word. The rank order, from the top to the bottom, the simple steps of gradations of power and rank, and the limitations therein. It also implies, of course, the loyalty and honour that goes up the scale and down the scale. The loyalty of those at the top of the power pyramid descends down to the lower, and the loyalty goes back up to the top of the pyramid. Honour and loyalty are paramount in the order of rank. It's a military concept from the military way of life. That's an easier one to understand, but the pathos of distance, which is allied to it, is a peculiarly Nietzschean usage. Mostly, pathos in Nietzsche means some kind of passion, a kind of strenuous passion with an aspect of suffering and tragedy to it. But it is essentially the passion of will, of desiring, of wanting, of needing and lusting after this particular quality of distance, and therefore refers to the distances between the ranks. So the pyramid steps are not thrust together like in a conurbation, they are rather gapped. And the greater the distance between those ranks, the more profound is the power of the particular ranks. So the distance between the top of the order, the very power pyramid pinnacle, is a vast distance down to the next rank. The higher the rank, the greater the distance, and therefore the greater the passion, the greater the pathos of distance. It's cold and lonely up there on the top of the mountain, but that is the responsibility that the top of the power pyramid must take, the commander must take, in order to be an effective and powerful commander, in order to be honoured, in order to need and also deserve that loyalty. As we go further down the pyramid, the distances become narrower. So the pathos of distance applies mainly to the top of the pyramid, the commander. And to use that term, the commander, Nietzsche noticed that in the democratic world, as it was emerging, in the post-revolutionary democratic world, the aspect of commanding was beginning to be tarnished and that the aspect of obeying was increasing. And we see in Zarathustra where he picks on this concept of commanding and obeying. Those who won't command will be commanded. And so he looks at Europe of his day and sees that over successive generations, the ability to obey is much more entrenched, as must needs be, than command. Commanding is a rare quality, but it's a necessary quality. But as society becomes more and more democratic, the ability to obey starts to outweigh to a ridiculous extent the ability to command. And with the revolutionary spirit, where the obeyers are encouraged to rebel against their commanders, that anarchistic impulse, then the quality of commanding gets ever more and more eroded. Nietzsche believed, I think, that it would eventually be bred out, although he also noted that you get a kind of atavistic resurgence of commanding appear from almost out of nowhere, and he recognized this in Napoleon. Out of the revolution, the quagmire, suddenly appears a man who is able to command. So that quality, that talent, is there and may emerge at any point. And in fact, in democratic ages where the mass starts to squeeze out any form of command, in those ages suddenly the commander appears almost out of the head of Zeus in a kind of glory unseen and unexpected. And that leads us to this aspect of commanding, the necessity of commanding, which we see in the leadership principle, which is in itself influenced by Nietzsche's view of the commander. For Nietzsche, we're talking about a commander in the military sense and in the cultural sense. A commander like Napoleon is also a cultural figure. Great commanders draw to them all aspects of life, art, science, architecture. All these things are drawn towards the great commander, who, with his talent and genius, is able to inspire the culture as well as the armies. The great charisma that such a commander has is thoroughly important and must never be lost if humanity is to remain. And so this vitally important leadership principle, which is eschewed by democracy and certainly by socialism and certainly by anarchism and communism, the leadership principle from Nietzsche is cultivated in fascism. In that type of politics, the leader, the commander, is vital, is the most important and embodies the people, the Volk. As Nietzsche says in Zarathustra, the new idol, the state, the cold monster, pretends that it embodies the Volk, the people. It doesn't. So who or what embodies the Volk? It must be the commander, the leader. In him, the order of rank is sculpted. In him, the tragic responsibility of the pathos of distance between him and his loneliness and those beneath him, working all to the same end, the creation of a unified culture. Only in a unified culture is high art in the grand style possible. In diffuse cultures, art is not possible. In diffuse cultures, excellence, genius is not possible. In diffuse cultures, only degeneration, decadence, and decline is possible. In democracy, no greatness is possible. Democracies only find their leaders in times of war, if then, when they have to revert to a non-democratic form of government. So, those who require high culture, high art, cannot adhere to democracy. It must be a commanding order of rank, a radical aristocracy. Only that is possible. Only that will shape and form culture in its highest aspects. So the will to power, when expressed politically and culturally, adheres to these doctrines of the commander, the order of rank, and the pathos of distance.